kind of discombobulated.
Yeah, it's total March Madness here in the studio.
Yeah, it is. It's total March Madness. Oh, Jackie's bought her own. What are you doing?
I had to touch my nose.
How many of those did you bring?
Enough, and you might need one later, so I wanted to be prepared.
Wow. Okay.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Voice of the Radical Center. I'm Jackie Nowak.
And my name is Jonathan Langley, and welcome because it is a rather drizzly day here in beautiful sunny downtown Austin, Texas, where normally from the Voice of the Radical Center studios, it's sunny, we can look outside, and everything's going on, and it's fantastic. But today,
it's a little bit drizzly.
It's a bit drizzly, and we're kind of discombobulated.
Yeah, it's total March Madness here in the studio.
Yeah, it is. It's total March Madness. Oh, Jackie's bought her own. What are you doing?
I had to touch my nose.
How many of those did you bring?
Enough, and you might need one later, so I wanted to be prepared.
Wow, okay. So she certainly bought a lot of those Kleenex things. So we've got a lot going on today.
Well, not just Kleenex, because I have to tell you, since they don't have masks, I was going to tell everybody that really, we could just like a little handkerchief.
That doesn't work, does it? It doesn't work.
So if
No, seriously, hold on a second. I haven't seen this. What is this?
Yeah, so
for those listening to us on SoundCloud or iHeart or whatever, Jackie's
it's a good idea.
Basically, Jackie looks like a bandit.
I do look like a bandit, but think about it. If I don't have a mask, say when I get the coronavirus, I'm going to wear it because it'll keep I won't just be spewing like viruses everywhere. So I will be in isolation, but for my husband.
So you're assuming that you're going to get it?
I am.
See, I'm assuming
you're of the impression you're inoculated.
I'm assuming I'm not going to get it for the simple reason I'm trying to keep track of not track, but trying not to do certain things. Like for example,
avoiding crowds.
Yeah. So for example, we talked about this before the show. I did not normally. I go to the gym 2 or 3 times a week, so I can look like this, and I went to the gym on Wednesday. Today is Sunday. I went to the gym on Wednesday, and usually I go like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or something like that, or Saturdays, depending when it is. And I've had a personal trainer, which helped. I don't have him now, but he really helped me get up to speed. Now I really want to stay motivated, so I try to go 2 or 3 times a week.
Yeah.
So I went on Wednesday.
Okay.
And
let me just do the math for you there. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So
what's your point?
There's a 4-day
yes
period that if you were exposed on Wednesday,
you
now are fully exposing me.
you might want to put your mask back on then, your bandana that you're wearing as
exactly.
Yeah, you might want to put that on. But actually, so I went to the gym on Wednesday. There's actually quite a few people there. I go in the evenings, and that's when it occurred to me. Because normally you wipe off any sweat, or if someone's been sweating before you, and they do have the hand sanitizer and stuff.
This week.
Yeah.
So you're going to stay away from the gym for a month, for
so
2
I
months,
didn't go,
for 3 months? How long?
Right, exactly. So
okay.
I didn't go yesterday. I got all dressed up to go, meaning my workout gear, and it's kind of weird, kind of perverse, but I like to shower before I go to the gym. I don't know why. I like to feel like I'm
TMI.
clean.
Okay.
And then come and shower again. But I got out the shower, put on my shorts and shirt, and I thought, I probably shouldn't go.
Yeah.
So again, because I had a trainer who really helped me, there's certain things you can't do. Obviously, you don't have all those machines, but
okay. But so everybody is in the same position as you.
There's a lot of people there on Wednesday.
There's a lot of people there on Wednesday, and they just putting themselves in that position. You could have easily got infected on Wednesday. So
yes,
you're saying
absolutely.
You're not putting yourself in the position to catch the coronavirus?
Well, not now.
And yes, you are.
I did. Well, I mean, I went to the supermarket. Should I have not gone to the supermarket? I mean, it's like...
Did you use a little touch screen to pay for your stuff?
No.
Oh.
No. And yesterday I went to Target.
Okay.
And Target and bought some shirts.
Anything?
No, I went through the checkout and then went and bought some alcohol.
Oh, so you're stocked up now.
So I'm stocked up. And actually, one of my neighbors works at this big liquor store, one of the big chains, and it was really interesting. Of course, I recognized him, and I knew he was there because that's twice I've been this week, and I just forgot to buy some good scotch.
Hitting the liquor store twice.
It was actually 2 days in a row.
Yeah.
And he was there the second day, and I instinctively, of course, put my hand out to shake his hand.
And he looked at you
and he
like,
said, "We've been
not
told
happy."
not to do that."
Yeah.
And that
Good
was
for him.
and that was when it sort of hit me a little bit. And as I say, I didn't go to the gym.
So moving forward from today
Yeah.
on out, you're going to try to self-isolate? Is that how you're
Well,
presenting
I'm
this?
just. I mean, I will. Someone says, okay. Let me ask you,
Okay.
right? If someone says to you, "Let's go to the pub for a cocktail," would you go?
Well, I'm trying to decide that right now, whether to, I think I'm going to I'm not self-isolating, but maybe we'll just have some people like my kids over for dinner rather than going out to eat with them tonight.
So I have friends, right, that I see on a regular basis
Mm-hmm.
at bars or restaurants, and we just sit at the bar in the restaurant, or it actually is a bar. That's all they have, and they just have pub food. And I thought about that too. Should I meet them there? I don't know. I'm not sure
You
yet.
really hate, so the economic impact is one
It's
thing.
huge.
The medical, impact is another.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, by not going to the bars and not going to the restaurant, we're going to feel it hard. I actually have some numbers on that.
Oh, okay. Oh, look at you. Jackie, our Hermione Granger of the show, always
Well,
willing to bring in more information than is
know,
ever
I've
asked. I
just
can't
got to-
believe
so-
you really have that?
I really do.
Wow. Okay.
So because I think this is going to
Wow.
hit us much harder than we think.
Okay.
But simply by canceling South by here in Austin, South by Southwest,
That was big.
that was a $355 million hit into our economy that we're not going to get, right? Mm-hmm. By canceling the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo, Houston lost $227 million. By that, it's a big deal.
Okay, so for the Texas so far, that's $500 million.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for Texas alone.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's actually in the billions that are being lost, whether it's NCAA to the stadiums to the television, by canceling March Madness. It's in the billions.
Well, when you think about the airlines, right? When you cancel all
Yeah.
these flights, I read that Delta is basically putting on furlough, for want of a better phrase, 40% of their fleet. Mm-hmm. So that's 300.
And so that means 40% of their workforce.
Correct.
Probably,
So
too.
40% of their
Yeah.
fleet, airlines will be aircraft will be parked. And I know we've talked about the Boeing thing before. I'm not going to bring up the 737 MAX because I could go off on a tangent on that. But the point is, the 737 MAX has not been delivered, right, for reasons we well know. So if you're Delta or United or American and these other airlines overseas, I don't know which one of the American companies. There's three basic ones: United, Delta, and American. How many of those and of course Southwest, I suppose, of course. How many of those 737 Maxes they have on order? But if the people aren't flying,
You're not
why
buying.
would you buy the You were clamoring for the 737 Max by this summer because of all the summer flying.
Right.
That's gone away. You don't want that plane
so
now.
much, you guys. I mean, when you think about hair salons, restaurants.
Would you go? Okay, so would you go to a hair salon to get your? That's very important for the ladies. Would you go?
Well, so my particular lady, there's only two people in the room, but she rents a little space within a big salon. I would love. You know what? I probably just need to send her a check and say, "Hey, this is for the haircut I didn't get," because she is going to be impacted adversely.
So are you not?
So I could skip because this is not just in the air, but it's on the chair. It's on, it's just there. It's everywhere we go.
So would you? So you wouldn't? I guess my question is. So
I'll
you
skip the haircut.
You would?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. That's a close proximity. I mean, somebody's touching you.
Huh. Okay. I was a little bit surprised. I wouldn't.
Eh?
I get it. I've been going to the same hair guy for 20
Okay.
years. I would still go because I.
And we'll find out if he's going to let you go. Because some people,
that's true
some
too.
service providers are going to make the decision that, you know what?
Okay.
I'm going to sit this time out.
So we're going to spend a lot of time talking about coronavirus. But
I think so,
you know
but-
what you were trying to do? You were trying to stop me from going off on my little rant.
No,
I know what you're
after
trying
I'm
to
going
do.
to totally let you do your rant, but
Okay.
we should tell people now rather than later that we're
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
we're gonna dive deep into the corona, and we're gonna go off on tangents.
Yes.
And he's gonna go talk about the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times.
I
and
am.
go on a
I
rant.
have to. I have
but
to.
after that, maybe we can find something lighter to
Yes,
talk about.
and I have Cadbury's cream eggs, so
Okay.
we can talk about Cadbury's cream eggs.
I don't know what we're going to talk about pertaining to them, but okay.
All right.
That sounds much better than
Well,
something to look forward to.
But okay, so what Jack is referring to on the New York Times and Wall Street Journal is that I get upset. I subscribe to all these newspapers, and they have great reporting. Wall Street Journal has fantastic report. They've done a lot, particularly around the 737 MAX.
Okay, great.
But it's their op-ed pages which they say there's a Chinese wall between op-ed and news. But
A Chinese wall?
Chinese wall.
Oh, okay.
Meaning they're in the same building, but they don't share information, right? Or
Okay.
one doesn't influence the other. You never heard of that?
No.
All right. Well, maybe I just made it up. But anyway, so and well, even if it's not real, I like it.
Yeah.
So there's this gentleman. Take my glasses off here. Who's Joseph C. Sternberg, and I actually think he is a member of the opinion writing board. And as you can see, if you're watching us on YouTube, this is the actual hard copy that I get in the mail. But this is the soft copy which I printed out from the online side of it. And he was basically saying, the title is, and Mr. Sternberg, sir, will be reaching out to you. It's called now he wrote this only a few days ago, Europe's coronavirus fate is already sealed. One reason Britain and Italy are struggling, their medical system is too dependent on government. Now, here's the reason I'm bringing this up.
But wait a second. Whose medical system isn't going to be struggling with this?
Exactly.
I mean, we
That's
don't
my
have
point.
the capacity any place for, 2 or 3% of the population to be hospitalized.
So, Mr. Sternberg, so I'll be reaching out to you because I'm not going to read the whole thing because
Okay, thank you.
You've told me before to keep it brief. But he's basically saying Italy and Britain are especially exposed because of the number of acute care hospital beds in the UK and in Italy is below what you would expect. And he goes on to point out that doctors in Italy know what to do, but they can't get ventilators, which is true for every country.
Yeah, they were talking about we're going to have that crisis hit the U.S.
Yes, and lack of beds and so on. Well, again, if you're overwhelming what it is. So it says Italy lags other large European countries in the provision of acute care hospital beds, furnishing 2.62 per 1,000. It goes on to say they spent $900 per capita on inpatient acute care, whereas in the United States it was $1,700, and then goes on to criticize the United Kingdom because the United Kingdom only spent $900, so slightly less within $10 of Italy as far as spending on acute care. The reason I'm bringing this up is really interesting because we spend twice as much in this country per GDP for the same or worse results. So it's only natural that we would spend twice as much on acute care. But the main point is, Mr. Steinberg, sir, I want to get your name right. Mr. Sternberg, sir, excuse me, Mr. Sternberg. And I found this absolutely hilarious, is that, and I'm going to hold it up for the camera here, but it will be on the video correctly, I actually have a copy, a screen grab of this whole thing. In the online version, an editor clearly went in and did some homework and said, what are the number of acute care beds per 1,000 residents across France, Italy, Germany? The UK is not in here, but the United States and Italy is. And you would imply, reading this article, that the United States is overloaded with acute care beds. We have more than we can ever handle. So I'm going to show this to you.
All right.
So, and it'll be on the screen if you're watching us on YouTube. So according to the United States, according to OECD, Italy has, he just said it himself, 2.62. You can see it's over 2.5 acute care hospital beds per 1,000. You can clearly see the United States has less.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
it's right.
It's about
just below.
it's just
Yeah.
below. But the point is, if you read Mr. Sternberg's article,
It implies
it
that
implies
we're
we have
so
a lot
much
more,
better.
so much better. And the point being, what I think fascinating is this graph, which if you're watching on YouTube, you can see, but I'll explain it. The graph is basically a bar graph showing number of beds per 1,000 residents, acute care beds, United States, wasn't in the print edition. So someone went online, some smart editor said, I'm going to back up Mr. Sternberg's article by putting a graph. The trouble is the graph doesn't match what he wrote about.
There you go.
It makes him look an idiot, sir. and I will be reaching out to you. I got one more. Okay, I'm sorry, one more.
No, it's totally fine.
No,
totally
I've got,
fine.
I've got one more.
Sit back, relax.
New York Times is, well, because it's nonsense. We should all be upset by this nonsense. This is a gentleman called Scott Atlas, who's a director of, he's a senior fellow at Stanford University's Hoover Institute. And he upset me for this following reason.
Tell me why.
He said, he's talking about Medicare for all is a danger.
Okay.
That's the exact phrase, dangers of Medicare for all is pure fantasy, he says. To believe that the access and quality Americans enjoy today would hold if private insurance was abolished. And then goes on to say...
Well, insurance doesn't do anything towards giving our care.
No, they just pay for it.
Yeah, that's just a mode of, that's like cutting out a middleman. So
yeah, get rid of those people would save money.
I think it,
yeah, but he goes on,
if
you focus on results, he goes on to say, single-player systems, and this is Dr. Atlas, sir, we're reaching out to you too, single-payer systems have shown to have worse outcomes. The United States...
Okay, well, let's stop right there, because there probably are. You know, if you're throwing in all single-payer systems...
Well, no, he's talking about Britain and Canada.
Oh, just those two?
Yeah, Britain and Canada.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying like including Ecuador and El Salvador or just all kinds of countries.
Well, that's a good question. I don't know what he means by that, but he does single out Britain and Canada.
Okay, but if he's including all single-payer systems,
well, then that
changes
well, of
the
course
whole
it does.
dynamic.
Yeah, are you going to get better health care in El Salvador than the United States? I don't think so.
Okay.
He goes on to say the United States, worse outcomes for diseases like cancer, blood pressure, stroke, heart disease, and diabetes. And the tens of thousands of citizens in single-payer countries have died because...
See, he is. I think he's lumping all single-payer systems into those
Well,
numbers.
you know what, Mr. Atlas, we'll reach out to you, sir, because he says Britain and Canada. He does says Britain and Canada hold down costs.
Single-payer systems, but so are a lot of countries.
So you're saying you think he's being
dysfunctional countries as well.
So you think he's being disingenuous?
Well, I don't know.
Well, here's the thing:
that's the only way his numbers work. Right?
Well, because if I take the countries he singled out, Britain and Canada, on every one of those issues, Mr. Atlas, Dr. Atlas, which should be a name of a character from the Marvel Comics, Dr. Atlas, on every one of those, high blood pressure, stroke, heart disease, and diabetes, except cancer, the United States is not only worse, it's worse by a wide margin, especially on diabetes.
Well, compared to Canada
and
England. But maybe when you lump all countries
But that's not what he's
together.
Implying, though. He starts off by saying... He does, but then he says Britain again. Anyway,
It's tough to know.
Mr. Atlas, Dr. Atlas, we will be reaching out to you to get your take on this, because I have it here, and I'll be pushing these back up. We've done it. I only did it 2 weeks ago in response to the Wall Street Journal. Here's the graphic. You'll see it. The mortality rate for diabetes in the United States is higher than every other comparable country. And obviously we're not talking about El Salvador. And you'll see it on the graphic. But I know for a fact, and it's on this graphic, but you'll be able to see it, the United States, the death rate, mortality rate with diabetes is 300% higher. 300. Yeah. And even something you would think we'd be really good at, which would be one he singles out, which was stroke and heart disease. It's actually worse than those other countries.
That is actually a good segue back to the coronavirus.
Okay. We're going to get me back to that?
Well, no, I'm just going to say
go ahead. No, go ahead. It's fine.
One of the doctors that I heard speaking this week was saying why our mortality rate could be higher than other countries is because so many of our citizens have underlying health issues, diabetes, heart issues, and
obesity,
coronary problems. Yeah, obesity is a big problem.
I think obesity has to be because of it's not just because you're overweight, it's because of what it does to your heart. And
sure,
whatever.
and your
makes
lung
it work.
capacity.
Right, exactly.
So if your heart and your lungs are not functioning well, when you get something like pneumonia, which is a possible side effect of coronavirus, then that just adds to the complex nature of it.
Yeah, so, all right, so you got me back on coronavirus, but listen, Mr. Sternberg and Dr. Atlas, you'll be hearing from us very soon, because basically what you said was total bullshit. Okay, so we'll be coming back to that. The reason I'm going to say this on that, and I promise to get off of it. The reason that upsets me no end is because they know better. They know that either Dr. Atlas, for example, is completely misinformed, or he's lying through his teeth. And yeah, he's a fellow at the Hoover Institute. He's a freaking. I gather I'm assuming he's a physician.
And I'm assuming he's probably neither of those. I think he's my impression of just what you told me in the last 30
but in that
seconds
case,
is that maybe he's lumping a lot of people into that category.
You're giving him the benefit of the doubt. I'm not. He brought up Britain and Canada and said it. All right. So moving on. All right. So we'll be reaching out to them in the next few days. So,
yes.
You, being the brave woman that you are, actually, let me just point this out. So Jackie never actually, we never really talk at night because we're all doing our own things. So for Jackie to actually reach out to me the day after Trump's speech with the text which basically said, I was so angry or something that I was going to reach out to you the night before.
Yeah.
And you didn't, but the fact that you were about to told me that you were upset by it.
Yeah,
So
I
tell
had
me,
two
so
huge-
give me your view on what Trump
I had
said.
two huge things that just blew my mind, and I wanted to explode. But
Yeah, go ahead.
The president coming out to speak did not make me feel better.
Which is his job. His job
Yeah.
should be to make you feel better.
All he simply had to say was, listen, these are unprecedented times. We are taking this very seriously, and we are going to unite and stand strong. And the medical establishment as a whole is coming together, and we've got your back, and we're going to do the best we can for the United States of America and all of its citizens, right?
That would have been great.
That would have been fabulous.
That would have been great.
That's kind of not what happened.
So let me ask you, so Boris Johnson, who's come under some criticism in the UK for some of the response, something similar to here, but not, I don't think there's any right or wrong answer yet, but he
Right, and this isn't just laid on the lap of one person. Right?
No, right. So
Whether you're the president or not, it's not your fault. That
So
it's
let me
here.
tell you what Boris said.
What did
and
he
let
say?
me tell you if you think this is the right approach.
Okay.
Bojo to his friends. So Boris said some of what you just said, but he added this part. This is a serious threat, and there are people that you love are going to die before their time. How do you feel? He said that.
And he's right.
I'm paraphrasing it, but that's basically
But
what
I
he
don't
said.
think that's what we necessarily want to hear from him. We might need to hear it from other people, maybe even,
Like
your
the head-
personal doctor or your.
You don't think so? But seriously, he said that, I think on Thursday or Friday of last week he said that.
And
Boris did.
I feel sure he's correct.
No, I'm sure he's correct. Do you think he should have said it?
It's not necessarily what people want to hear, but maybe they need to
I
hear
think
it so that they need to
Be adults.
real.
Take it
Yeah,
seriously.
yeah.
So in the UK, for example, they just announced, and just listen, before people write, I am an American, okay? It's obviously I've got some background from the UK, but I am a US citizen. They announced today or yesterday that no one over 70 should really go out. You should sort of self-isolate right now, even if you don't have any symptoms. So what do you think about so you saw Trump's speech. Give me, it didn't reassure you.
No.
What about friends or anybody else?
I think chaos is what.
Okay.
It made the chaos more real immediately after his speech. So was that Wednesday night?
Yes,
I mean, it's all
yes.
like glumped together. But Thursday, there basically was a run on grocery stores here in Austin, Texas, right?
Someone told me they had to wait 20 minutes to get in because they reached capacity. There was a limit. I don't know if that's true or not, but
It's
that's
very likely. And I know Costco's, I mean, if you were investing in a company,
Did you go to Costco?
Oh, no.
Oh, okay. I'm not a member.
Because I'm a member, but I'm not
Okay,
crazy.
okay,
No, I'm just
okay.
kidding. I don't think people are crazy who went, but I just knew that it would be a madhouse, and I don't, it's my husband and myself for the most part, so we don't need to.
Stock up, yeah. So
terribly.
the Trump that you actually watched the Trump
Yes, and so-
speech, who looked like it was like a hostage video to me.
Yeah.
Did you? Again, I only
not
watched.
his best performance.
I've
We
only
saw
se-
him in real life under
Yeah, you and I saw him.
under very comfortable circumstances.
A friendly audience,
right?
shall we say.
A friendly audience
Yes, farmers.
with farmers, and he was relaxed. He was probably the best I've ever seen him.
He got the name of the football team wrong, but apart
But,
from that,
yeah, and he made some kind of funny comments about some other things. But overall, he performed well. This particular situation was not his finest performance, and unfortunately, his message was not clear. he came out and said that
Oh, foreign virus
we're halting all flights
from
to
Europe,
and from Europe,
including freight.
including cargo.
Cargo.
But he didn't specify saying all American citizens who are abroad are welcome to come back home. I really assumed that they were going to be stuck where they were.
When you watched it, that's what you thought?
Absolutely. There was no reason to think anything other. And so he had to immediately tweeted a number of corrections or he just, he gave specifics on the halting, but not specifics
You
on
know what it is?
who. He was saying foreign nationals need to just not come and vacation in America right now. Or we're just going to keep, but it wasn't clear.
I
There
just
were
had
so
an
many-
epiphany.
Okay, tell me.
My epiphany is, we know the speech, part of that speech was definitely written by Stephen Miller, right?
Right.
The epiphany I had is, and his son-in-law, Kushner, the epiphany I just had is that they still don't grasp, these people, because they're complete amateurs, that they have a responsibility.
Right.
So we know, for example, you may or may not agree as a Trump supporter that Trump should have banned people traveling from France, Spain, and other countries, although at the time, and it's still true today as I speak, that you can travel from the UK. And all you got to do is get on the channel, the train, or get from...
Yeah, if
from
I'm in France and I want to come to America, I just
Go
to British Airways,
go
right?
to British Airways or one of the airlines flying out of Heathrow or Gatwick or Manchester, whatever. But the epiphany I had is that they don't have responsibility. They haven't grasped the level of responsibility, which is true for people even like Sean Hannity and others. They haven't grasped the level of responsibility that people's lives are at stake. An example very simply is when they announced that we aren't going to fly from Spain or Italy
Right.
or France,
Travel.
they never even told the airlines that they were doing it. They never
Well,
even gave them a heads up.
They're missing an opportunity.
They didn't
to
even do
make
that.
Our country a little bit more inclusive, less divisive, and some people think that's their plan, is to divide us anyway and keep us divided. But it's time like this. I mean, we all came together after 9/11, right?
Yes.
Whether you were
yes,
Republican
absolutely.
or Democrat, everybody came together. This is a national emergency.
It
this
is a
a
national
national crisis.
Listen, if France and
we
Spain
should
and Italy
all
are shutting
come
down,
together
yes.
to support not just our healthcare workers, our police, our firemen, these teachers. I mean, everybody's on the front line. Even,
Yeah.
I mean, prison guards. They don't get to just go home and self-isolate for 2 weeks.
Prison could be really
And
bad.
then the prisons could get
Could be
really bad
really
because
bad.
it's just like being on a cruise ship, right? You're stuck there.
Yeah, cruise ships, people working in hotels.
Yeah.
Although I don't think I'd go and stay in a hotel right now either. I mean, the fact that you've got so many unknowns, and we don't even know the testing. We don't have the access to the test, and the fact that, and I've got a list of some of the things Trump said at some point. But so bottom line is, you watched it. I was probably at the gym getting coronavirus.
Yes, there you go.
On Wednesday. You didn't walk away reassured. Clearly, the stock market didn't.
It was not warm and fuzzy. The stock market tanked, and I just felt like it was an opportunity missed. And I know people are focusing on the fact that he's saying this started in another country. It's not my fault.
Oh, he
Well,
called it
that's
the
just-
foreign virus.
Yeah, I mean, that's just his thing. He's worried about getting the blame, but he's going to get blamed
No
worse
one's gonna-
by just throwing stuff out
I
there
don't
like
blame
he
him
has
for
been.
coronavirus coming here. I don't blame Boris Johnson for coronavirus in the UK or
No,
Angela
whoever
Merkel.
was president at this time,
is
let's
irrelevant.
be clear,
Is-
they were going to get stuck with this.
Exactly.
It's the response to it.
Correct. You can blame him for that.
Right, and
the
I know
response.
you have a list of his.
I do.
His
I do.
responses over the last couple.
But
weeks,
I will
right?
say this about the Democrats too. There's a thing here that they passed, but Pelosi, when I saw her, and I don't mean to be unfair, because the one time I watched her talking about this, she looked across. To me, she looked a little bit like a deer in the headlights. And the part that's I don't understand,
I thought she looked empowered. I didn't think she looked. She was saying, "Look, we are coming together. We're getting funding for unemployment.
Yeah, I've got
we're
it here.
getting funding for this, and we're getting tests that are going to be free to all Americans.
Well, they said there's going to be 500,000 tests this coming week.
Yeah, and it may be too
Do you
little,
but
too late.
I don't. Would you believe that? If Trump told, this is the part I understand. If Trump told you can have a test anytime you want, do you believe in? And when they say there's 5 million
the next
tests,
several weeks, that's going to be real.
I don't believe
this minute,
it.
I don't think it's real.
No, it's definitely not real now.
Well, and I've told this to Jonathan that I actually know somebody who was tested on Thursday, and they were told it'll be 5 days to get the results. But we already know that if you are positive, before you even show the first symptom, you are contagious.
Is this person self-isolating right now?
I feel certain that they are.
Okay, all right.
But it's too late. By the time you know you have it, it's too late.
One thing we didn't look up for the show, and we should have done, was on those South Korean drive-through testing, how long those results took to get back to you. But we do know that regardless of how long it takes, we know the United States was ill-prepared for several things. You actually, so Jackie's been fired up about this ever since the Trump's thing. You texted me this morning before we did the show about the lines at DFW Airport.
Yes. So when you tell Americans that America is shutting down, they're going to come home, right? They want to get it back. I would have thought I better get back home before they keep me here if I'm in... Even if I'm in Monaco, I don't want to stay there. I want to come back home.
So they had on CNN, they had the physician, I forget his name, the main guy who's at the front line.
Sanjay Gupta, maybe?
No, the guy from the administration, always been brought in. And he was saying, no, Americans, you don't have to rush. You can come home when you can.
But nobody told them that.
But no one told them that. And second of all, if I'm overseas, would I be going, wait a minute, you want me to take a risk that at some point in the next 3 weeks, President Trump could wake up and go, no one's getting in no matter what.
Nobody's in or nobody's out.
No one's in, no one's out. I'm like, I'm going to get home now. So this is the consequence of those types of things.
Right.
That's what happens.
We knew the number of airplanes that were coming back, and we knew the number of people per airplane. But these people were stuck at the airports in Chicago, in Dallas, for 6 hours going through immigration. And I don't want the Border Patrol to be at risk. I'm hoping they've got masks and gloves. I think they do that on a pretty regular basis anyway.
The customs guys behind those booths and everything.
They're not always behind the booths. People...
I don't...
Just anybody who's got a job where they're dealing with the public on a large scale like that, we want them to be safe.
Absolutely.
But today on the news, they were like, well, they didn't know that there would be... They knew. They knew if there were 50 flights coming from Europe or if there were 100.
The thing is,
they know the numbers. They just were ill prepared, and that is inexcusable.
It is inexcusable
to make people stand for 6 hours. What's the longest you've stood at immigration? Because one time, I think coming back from Mexico, it was a 3-hour wait.
The longest coming into the U.S.
I was at my wit's end by the time it was all said and done.
The longest coming into the U.S. for me was one time I flew into Miami, which I swore I'd never do again, because it's a big transit point for the Caribbean.
Sure. And
also it's a big destination for holiday resorts, although Orlando is busy too. That was the worst. Generally, though, because I have the fast pass, I also have all the global entry. I have all that. That really speeds things up. The worst on any airport. By the way, so DFW and Chicago and all these airports, I've been through them. I can't imagine being stuck there for 6 hours.
Standing in line.
The longest I've ever been stuck in line at any airport, period, was actually at Narita Airport in Tokyo. And that was for 3 hours. And then once in, not Sydney, in, I forget the other, Melbourne. And that was 3 hours. And I was with a friend of mine. We were playing golf, and they actually thought we were smuggling drugs. We weren't. I'll make it very clear.
I don't even need to know.
We weren't smuggling drugs. The funny thing was, after do you know the funny thing? After they made us go through these lines and check and did another X-ray of our bags, they didn't do anything. It was the weirdest thing. Maybe we just looked suspicious.
Well, there you go.
So that's what it was.
Can't argue.
I personally blame the guy I was traveling with, who's a PGA pro, and I was actually walking out. And this is a side story. I'm sorry. I was
shiny.
I was walking out. I'd gone through immigration. I was walking out, and I turned around, and my buddy was going the other way. And I turned to the customs agent and I said to her, I said, well, why is my friend going over there? And she said, and I was literally about to walk out the door. She says, oh, you're with him? Then you need to go too. So I shouldn't have said anything. I should have just said, I don't know who he is.
Walk fast.
I should have just walked fast. All right. So I wasn't as impressed with Pelosi as you were. But I will say this. They're saying this legislation that they passed is 14 paid sick, they wrote this wrong. 14 days of sick leave, as well as 3 months of paid emergency leave, and employers, will be reimbursed through some kind of tax credit. They haven't even figured that out.
So the employers are supposed to continue to pay
Correct.
people,
And then
they'll get reimbursement in tax credits.
However, unfortunately, this doesn't apply to small business.
Yeah, because I was going, how many tax credits do I
Yeah.
need, and
Yeah,
how
'cause
do
you're
I
a small
get a tax credit?
Right. So if you're a small business, and let's be very clear, most Americans work for a business with less than 100 people. You're exempt.
Yeah.
Although it just says smaller businesses, I don't know, but I'm assuming it's not people with 2,000 people. And it also says to provide free food for children whose schools are closed during the crisis. Although how you get the food, I don't know. So it's
I know,
a lot.
you have to go back up.
So there's a lot of
or you go stand in another
right.
line.
So I'll throw that away.
So
There's a lot of detail.
Speaking of the schools,
Yeah.
Maybe they don't need to be closed after spring break.
Uh,
They're saying it's not really going to accomplish much.
the mayor of New York just said that today or yesterday.
He said they're going to reopen schools?
He's actually said that there's a downside of closing schools because
Right.
he hasn't done it yet. I mean, they're on spring break, but he said the downside is you've got so many people working in the healthcare industry who have children.
Right.
Plus, children don't get sick. You're better off keeping them in school.
Yeah, that's exactly what a
Then
doctor
you- and then
that
you-
I heard said. I'm trying to think of what his name was, but he was a doctor on Joe Rogan. It was Michael Osterholm, and he said the same thing, that like 34% of nurses, they're have school-age children. And so if all of a sudden they
Yeah,
don't have somebody to care for their children, how do they get to work?
And this is again,
and that will make the crisis
And this
worse.
is again, all that stuff could have been in Trump's speech. I'm not saying he should have had all the detail, but he could have said, if we have care workers who we want on the front line, we're going to bring back people who have retired. If you're a nurse, we want you to come back. If you're a physician, I don't know what the rules are we need you to come back.
Or volunteers.
Volunteers.
I mean, are we currently seeking a level of volunteer to, whether it's, come up and help, triage people at
Exactly. That's
hospitals or
exactly
something? I'm
right.
not
Exactly.
sure. 'Cause
Yeah.
that level
Yeah,
of
exactly.
skill, I think you could be taught, if they're this temperature,
Yeah.
rush them in. Or if they're this age, rush them in.
Exactly.
It was a missed opportunity, but the whole virus thing. So there's the economic impact, the medical impact, but one of the things that I've noticed, one of my sisters sent me, and it's probably a viral video of these two women fighting over toilet paper.
Why do people
which
want?
is-
That's stupid. Why do people stocking up on toilet paper?
I
That doesn't
think
make any
over
sense
the
to
next
me.
month, we're going to realize how ridiculous that
Yes,
is.
yes,
that
yes,
the
yes.
problems we think we were going to have are not the real problems we have. The problems that we might have are the fact that a lot of our generic medicines are made in China.
Yeah, that was a shock to me. I think a lot of people were
60
surprised
Minutes
about
did
that.
something on it about 6 months ago.
Did
How
they really?
crazy is that? Yeah, just saying that all of the manufacturing of really basic, whether it's blood
Thinner?
thinners, the blood pressure medicines,
Okay.
the heart medicines, a lot of that is made in China, and we don't have any manufacturing of it here. None.
Oh, generic stuff.
Well,
Some of those is what you're
some
saying.
of those medicines, and so hopefully, and we don't have like huge warehouses full of them.
No,
as
and
well. Just like the mask situation.
they're all made in China, ironically, a lot of them. Although
No,
some of
we
them,
have manufacturers of masks here, but we don't have a stockpile of them.
well,
So
again,
they're
why
working
would you?
24/7
Why would you have a stockpile? I kind of
Well,
get that.
for this?
Well, I
particular
guess now,
incident. Yeah.
again, so
Now,
hopefully we'll learn something from this.
Yeah.
But again, if I'm, we started the show because the Radical Center is very simple. Jackie and I firmly believe, and we know this for a fact, that most people, 48%, 40 to 45, somewhere in there, let's say 45%, identify as independents.
Right.
A minority identifies Republican, and a slightly bigger minority identifies Democrats. And this is the part I don't get. If you're a Republican, a hardcore Republican, you think Donald Trump walks on water, would you trust this administration to keep your family safe? And this has nothing to do with politics. That's the part that puzzles me.
Well, I think what's happening now is those issues are being addressed on a local
Well,
level.
can I go back and remind you what he said?
Okay, do that.
So on February the 2nd, he said, we have it totally under control. Everything's going to be just fine. I won't do all of these. February the 10th, he said, it looks like by April, in theory, when it gets a little warmer, it miraculously goes away. Mm-hmm. That was at a campaign rally. By the way, he's going to miss being in front of those people, isn't he? What's he going to do? He's going to be bouncing off the walls. Those Twitter things are just going to come out. He's got nothing else to do. All that executive time. February the 26th, he says, when you have 15 cases in the United States and 15 within a couple of days going close to zero, that's the good job we've done.
Right.
And if I bring it up to date, some closer to this, because we're in March, let me give you this one. From March the 2nd, when he says, March the 4th, excuse me, when he talks about the fatality rate.
Okay.
I think the 3.4% rate is really a false number. Now, it's just my hunch, but based on a lot of conversations with a lot of people, that's his MO.
Yeah, and he definitely, that might have been, just a short time before his speech of doom and gloom. So he's definitely changed his tune. He's come around. I think he has decided that maybe other people might know a little bit more.
Well, no, he's not coming around.
Thing.
He said this thing on Friday. He said that Google's got a site set up where you can go and see if you've got
I'm
it.
not saying
and
that
that's
he's gonna
Google's like,
stop
what the hell
lying or stop making things up.
Google's
or
like,
stop
what the hell are you talking
talk,
about?
But I think he's realized that this is not going anywhere, and it's going to get much worse before it gets better.
Again, this is life and death, right? So March the 6th, which is a week ago, he says, anybody that wants a test can get a test.
Yeah.
He knew then that there weren't enough tests, and then, this is again...
and this is, wait, I didn't, go ahead, finish.
March the 11th, I met with the leaders of the health insurance industry. We have agreed to waive all co-payments for coronavirus treatments. That's absolutely fundamentally a lie.
Yeah.
They've agreed to waive
Test
co-payments
for
for
free.
testing, but not for the actual treatment.
Right.
Which, by the way,
Because if you get in intensive care, it's going to be, very expensive.
Then he goes on to thank Google and everything else. I just can't read that. It makes me ill. Yeah.
Okay, so going back to the testing,
Yeah.
I think one of the reasons I was outraged, so it would have been Thursday morning after
Yes.
his speech, if he spoke
That's
on...
when you texted me.
That on Wednesday night, I also found out that Austin, Texas, a city of over 1 million and a half people in the surrounding areas, had the capabilities of only testing 25 people per day for coronavirus.
Right, and it's awful. It's absolutely awful
And
that they would lie
really
about that.
sent me over the edge.
That's
To
what
me,
upset
it
you?
was-
Yeah.
Yes, that was that is outrageous. And
It
I know
is.
the numbers have gone up by now, so you don't have to send us an email. But anybody who's not outraged by that, because
You should be
people-
outraged about the lies leading up to this point. That's the
think
situation I'm in.
almost. I assume everything he says is a lie now.
Absolutely. Well, that's my whole point. Why would you believe him?
Other people to
Yeah, that's
tell
the
me
whole
what's
point.
really going on.
Why would you believe him? Even if you're a Trump supporter, if your family are at risk, if you have
Yeah.
elderly parents, you may
He's
be
got 97% approval rating.
you would be
in
you
the
could be a
Republican Party.
you could be a hyper fit 37-year-old, and if your grandparents are 90 and maybe your parents are 70, whatever, why would you trust your lives of people you love with this administration? You'd be insane to do that.
Right.
It doesn't make sense.
Yes. So hopefully they just need to start sending
You're
out
firing
checks.
me up and getting me all riled up again. Don't do that to me. It's
Yes,
just
so
making
hopefully
me
we'll
mad.
get checks sent to every family.
Oh, tell your idea.
Well, it's not my idea. I am telling you right now. So Andrew Yang was campaigning on, what is it called? A living wage. Like
a minimum wage. Not a minimum wage. A living wage.
A living
wage, yes.
And where he was planning that if he became president, that everybody would get $1,000 a month
Mm-hmm.
as as part of living in
Yeah.
the United States. And I think that needs to happen now in March, in April, and in May.
So Trump
And-
said they could easily, you're right, to every household, actually the easiest way to do it, to every taxpayer, you could say, because although rich people would get them too, but what are you going to do?
We don't have time
You
to
did- right.
split
You-
hairs.
If you filed a tax return in 2019, or excuse me, for 2018 in 2019, then we're going to send you $1,000.
I
Is
think
that
that's
what you're
yeah.
saying?
Yeah, because people who are getting paychecks, so 60% of
It's actually
America
not a bad idea. It's actually not a bad
makes
idea.
$40,000 or less a year.
Correct.
So these people live in paycheck to paycheck, and we don't have time to wait on, filling out paperwork for unemployment and proving that you are in need. Just send it out.
That's actually not a bad idea. And
Send
it's
it
better
out.
than giving them a payroll tax cut, which
That's
is
absurd.
That's
Yeah,
not
that was
even going to
ridiculous.
happen. All right. So now that we've depressed ourselves, anything else on this depressing front? Because I do have some sort of, how should we say, coronavirus humor.
Oh, coronavirus humor.
Yes,
By
yes.
all means,
But
I think we need something
but
cheerful.
before-
But I don't
before-
know that might be too soon to.
No,
well,
so I want to just be. Usually you bring food in,
Oh, I
And you-
wanted to eat one of these.
and you try to kill me with it.
Yay.
Because it tastes so spicy or something. But Cadbury's cream eggs. I've got a pack of 4 here.
And certainly chocolate is good for you.
I
I've
had
heard that.
4 by myself last night. 4, and each one of these is loaded with so much sugar it's not even funny. But here's the reason I'm bringing these in.
Do tell.
I grew up with these, right? So these are
Okay.
these are from the UK. I grew up with these, and
And I know I've had one, but I don't know
yeah.
when the last time
So
I've had one.
so I'm
would have
opening them up
been.
for those who are listening
It's
on the
heavy.
interweb.
This is like a dense piece of chocolate.
So the trouble with these is unwrapping them.
Uh-huh.
That's for if you're a kid, that's part of the fun is unwrapping them, and they're extremely
I
messy.
mean, it's just fine. It wasn't. too
they're
big a challenge.
extremely messy and
Okay.
sticky.
Do they goo out whenever I
Yeah,
chomp them?
so you can either put the whole thing in at
Oh
once,
no.
or you can
No,
just
no.
take a bite.
I'm just gonna
But
nibble.
you're gonna need a napkin. I'm
Oh,
trying to
I-
get the foil off. Oh, my fingers are all sticky.
Oh,
So
I-
anyway, but the reason I think this is great, chocolate is great soul food, isn't it? It makes you
I
feel
feel better already.
It gives you. It
I
gets
was
those.
feeling a little stressed
it gets
talking
those
about coronavirus.
It gets those endorphins going.
Make me happy.
Now, each one of these, I just wanted you to know this.
6,000. Oh,
No, not the calories, the amount of sugar. Each one is 20 grams of sugar. So I don't know how many grams of sugar are in a teaspoon, but is there 4? 5
Whatever,
grams of
whatever.
sugar in a teaspoon? So
okay, it's delicious, but I mean, I don't really know how to eat this thing. I
just
feel like
skip
I
it.
need a straw.
no, you just now stick the whole thing in. Just go. No, don't. Go on. If you could. She's eaten. You basically what you've done. It's like
Have I ruined it?
No. It's basically
Oh.
you're eating it like so far it feels in a boiled egg. You've taken the top off. You need to eat the whole thing.
Oh, I would eat a boiled egg too.
Oh, all right, fine. Okay, so
Yeah.
while you're eating
Maybe
that,
when the camera's not on me.
well, go ahead. While Jack is enjoying a Cadbury's cream egg, I wanted to bring up. We want to lighten the load a little bit, right? Because of this. So there's a woman who's getting. I've actually have friends of mine whose children are getting married soon, and I've thought about this. How do you handle a wedding?
Yeah.
With 200 or 300
Lots of weddings, lots of people having babies.
Right. What do you do? Because if you actually, one advice I read was have the wedding, get married, and then have a big party in a few months. Right.
Well, you've made the reservations, you've paid the money. I don't know how that works.
That's true. Okay. Well, here's what this one woman wrote on. Where did she write it? She wrote this Facebook. Here's what she said. See, I don't use Facebook, so I didn't quite. She said, "It's all in caps, and this will be posted on our YouTube channel, but it's all in caps. You can see
Okay.
that." Here's what she wrote. This is how to make friends and influence people. If I received this, I wouldn't go on principle. Here's what it said. Please, please, please educate yourselves. By the way, this is only like 3 or 4 days ago. The media is making millions of dollars through hysteria. Remember, this is all in caps.
no.
It gets worse.
Is this in the United States?
Yeah.
Oh,
This is 4 days ago. Please do not give in to this ignorance. It gets worse.
Oh,
It gets worse. Know the facts. If you contribute to affecting my wedding, I will delete you and your ignorance out of my Facebook feed. if you don't have an existing health condition, you just have to wash your freaking hands, and you will be 0.9% chance. I guess the grammar was off. I guess she was fired up. You will be 0.9% chance of getting the virus! Exclamation point! Exclamation point! Exclamation point! So if I receive that, that, I wouldn't go anyway. I mean, obviously, if she was brother or sister or whatever, that's different than my future sister-in-law. But if I was on the periphery, I wouldn't even go.
She said just if you're not sick, you could go. Like old people, grandma's going to be there. Everybody's supposed to go. Yeah,
she says, I would delete you and your ignorance out of my Facebook feed. That's her threat. If you don't go, we're no longer friends, basically. That's what, I mean, my God.
She doesn't sound like somebody you're dying to be.
Holy
that
cow.
We wouldn't necessarily be dying to be friends with anyway. But, yeah, I would say err on the side of precaution, not just.
Yeah, because at no point.
I mean, it's your big day. You've spent a lot of money.
But why would you say I will delete you and your ignorance?
Because she doesn't know what she's talking about.
Do not give in to this ignorance.
Because she's still thinking it's a hoax, because that's what
apparently.
she was told.
But that 0.9% death rate, which is 9 or 10 times higher than the flu, someone wrote to this saying, so basically saying people without pre-existing conditions, so Granny can totally come along so long as she doesn't have asthma, heart disease, diabetes.
She said that?
No.
Oh.
That's what someone's responding to her saying. So the other one that got my attention, which really made me laugh, was on what's the dating app, the famous dating app? I've forgotten. Tinder. So this guy put out a thing saying, "Hey, this is to a girl. This is to a girl. He sent this to a girl.
Okay.
He sent this to a girl.
I'm already thinking.
Hey, you're cute, but I want you to answer the following questionnaire for me. I'm not making this up.
Yeah.
Have you been to mainland China in the last 14 days? Number 2, have you been to Japan or Korea, Northern Italy in the last 14 days? Number 3, are there any suspected COVID-19 cases in your residential area? If your answer is no to all the above, would you like to meet? The response is brilliant from the girl.
Okay.
Brother, after your interrogation, I'd rather have the coronavirus than meet up with you. Isn't that great?
Yeah.
And someone, my favorite one, which is really one line, as opposed to "Will you be my Valentine?" It was "Will you be my quarantine?" So hey, there are funny people out there.
We could be. We could choose.
That made me laugh.
To look on the brighter side of things, but I think we're in for the long haul.
It would seem that way.
Yes.
It seems that way.
We need to. This is what I heard: is that we need to stop thinking in days or weeks and start thinking in months.
That's really depressing, isn't it?
Yes.
Because I'm supposed to fly it at some point.
Oh, we all have big plans.
I was supposed to fly to San Francisco in April next month. You know what though? I still would. Would you, hypothetically, would you fly to New York?
No.
You wouldn't.
Right now. Today.
Okay.
Nope, not getting on that plane.
So assuming something is the same, that's a good question. So assuming.
No, because what's the point of going if when you get there you're going to be sick the whole time?
Because assuming I'm supposed to. That's an interesting question. I'm going to try and answer my own question here. If everything was like today in 3 or 4 weeks when I was supposed to go to San Francisco, would I go?
It's going to be worse.
The answer is I probably wouldn't.
In 3 or 4 weeks,
you're right.
The situation is going to be much worse.
Yeah, you're right. I wouldn't. Yeah. Now that I think about it.
I don't know that if once you've had it, if
you're immune,
then
the doctors I've seen on the.
I heard one person talk about that, but the other doctors were saying we don't know.
We were supposed to end on a happy topic, and now we're making it worse.
Let's end on a happy topic.
Well, we just did. We spoke about Tinder, and we spoke about Bridezilla.
Yeah. So
why didn't you finish your egg?
Are you going to watch?
Why didn't you finish your egg? There's a tiny little piece the size of a quarter.
I'm saving it.
Well, did you enjoy it? Did you like it?
Yes, it was delicious. I love chocolate, and I love sugar, and That was
Hey, you can have these to take
a
home
lot
with you.
of both.
You can have those. I'm going to give you one because I like them too. So
No,
you can take
yeah,
you can take
perfect.
that one home.
Thank
with
you.
There
Thank
go.
you
All
for
right.
sharing.
All
I
right,
appreciate
because there's
it.
4 in this packet.
But what I need to know is the important things that we need. You know, like while we're quarantined, what are we going to be watching?
Oh, Netflix. I would buy stock in
Yeah.
Netflix right now.
It's gone down,
Why?
which is a sort of a surprise because I thought it was a brilliant idea.
Well,
to go
the
do it
whole
too,
the whole
but-
stock market went down, so it's not.
Right,
so
so-
I guess they got caught up in that.
Yeah. But what are you watching? You have any? I don't have any
30
good shows.
Rock.
I feel like I'm at the end of the internet.
I'm on
Okay.
Amazon Prime.
Okay,
I watched
so
30
we're
Rock.
living in the 90s now. No, early 2000s?
Well,
Okay.
mid 2000s. 30 Rock. I watched some British shows. I watched. Oh, you know what I watched the other day? Old Alfred Hitchcock, Rear Window.
Oh, it's one of my favorite movies.
I just watched. I haven't seen it
Yeah.
for years, so I watched it.
Yeah, love that.
So I ordered takeout food, right? So I had to go. I usually order from Uber Eats or something, but there's a restaurant here in town called High Park Bar and Grill. Hello, High Park Bar and Grill. And they will deliver. Well, not they will, but Uber Eats and everything. Anyway, but in this case, because I was running around doing stuff, getting my alcohol.
There you go.
Right, the other night.
You're like, I've had enough. I couldn't possibly
yes.
cook after
Right.
carrying all this weight.
So I ordered some food.
Did you get the chicken fried chicken?
Very good. Chicken fried chicken. And I went there to pick it up. And it was Friday night. Yes, Friday night. And there was not that busy, as you'd imagine. And the guy who was not the maitre d', but one of the guys who worked there basically said, hey, it's not that busy, but we're getting a lot of takeout. So it's going to affect. It's going to
Yeah.
affect these restaurants.
Everybody.
Yeah.
The entire service industry, hotels, airplanes, spas, haircut, just everybody. So
Yeah, sorry, we're getting all depressed again.
yeah.
Sorry.
But feel
what are
free
you
to
looking
write
at?
me. I'm trying to find
What are
a
you
good
writing on your
show.
phone?
So I'm sort of a TV snob, in case you're wondering.
Oh, do you watch
And
British mysteries then? You like the
No,
like Agatha Christie?
Not a big fan of British television.
What?
My girlfriend.
What is the problem
so
here?
I have my tennis gals.
This is
one's
terrible.
from Zimbabwe and one is from New Zealand, and they love British mysteries. And I've tried. No,
Wow.
Not a big fan.
What about British comedy?
It-
Blackadder and all that stuff? Oh,
never.
my
That's
dear.
even worse for me.
Monty Python?
I like
awful.
dysfunctional family drama. That kind of
Well, there's
stuff.
plenty of that on the British television. Oh, she's dropping her egg. All right. So we need to wrap this up.
Yes.
So given that this next week is going to be very interesting,
Yeah.
I'm presuming, therefore, from what you said, you're not going to go out anytime soon. But you'll go to the supermarket, I'm presuming, right?
Yeah, I don't do that anyway.
You don't go to the supermarket?
No, my husband does all that.
Oh, my God. Holy cow. But, well, he's still going to the supermarket, I presume.
Yes.
Because you can have food delivered now. But no restaurants and stuff like that.
Well, I mean, we did eat out this week, so but I feel like our habits need to change, and we'll figure it out.
Really?
Yeah.
I think so too. I think for
Yeah.
me as well, it'll definitely be different. So, all right. Well, thank you so much for watching. This is the Voice of Radical Center. Did we learn anything today? What have we learned today? From all this? What have you?
From all of this,
Yes.
keep your distance, wash your hands, and protect the other people in your
As
life.
Jackie holds up her mask, which is really
Well,
a bandana.
Jonathan's making me kind of nervous here.
Yeah, and you do like Cadbury's cream eggs.
Yes, who knew? I think I know I've had these before, but it was
All right,
delicious,
all
and
right,
I thank you.
All right. Well, listen, thank you everybody for watching or listening. We are everywhere. We're on SoundCloud or whatever. If you like us, find us. We're everywhere. We're on everything. And just a reminder.
But have a great week and be safe.
Yeah, and just a reminder,
healthy.
we will be on Amazon very, very soon. And we postponed it a little bit
Yeah.
because it's going to be in front of an audience. So actually, we are directly affected by that. So
Everybody is.
All right. Well, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. God bless, and we'll speak to you very, very soon.